Hello, I'm Kaiser and welcome to Moose Reads. Before I get started, I want to say that the opinions that I give here are my own opinions. They are extremely subjective. If I dislike a book, it is not a reflection on the author and it is not a reflection on people who do like it. Different people have different tastes, and that's okay. Today I will be reviewing Calling by Molly Harper. This is the third book in the Sorcery and Society series. It is a historical fantasy. The description says, after discovering and rescuing a group of magical changelings just like herself, Sarah Smith must now figure out what to do with the unruly children and how to keep them and the rest of the magical world safe. Having left the structure of Miss Caswell's Institute for the Magic Instruction of Young Ladies behind, Sarah and her two best friends, Alicia and Ivy, hide out with the changeling children in the countryside while they try to formulate a plan. They have no weapons, no guidance, and the mother book is gone. They only have each other and the creeping threat of Miss Morton's revenant army on the horizon. New alliances must be forged, and old friends provide what support they can, but the trio wonders who they can truly trust. They are searching for the mysterious artifact that may prove to be the undoing of the undead, after all. As the rest of magical society prepares for what they think is the highlight of Lightborn's endless party season, Sarah, Alicia, and Ivy throw themselves headlong into planning for the night that holds their last chance to protect the safety of the entire magical world. 3 stars. I think most of this review will have to be in the spoiler section, but I'll do my best to give an overview here. I like this series, and I think that the quality of them is pretty steady, so if you like the first one, you're likely to enjoy the other two. But I also felt like the initial excitement of an interesting world and premise starts to wear off as the series progresses, and the places where the world building feels lacking start to become more apparent. We've still got the same interesting setting and the same likable characters, but this third book more than ever had me wondering how anything worked. It wasn't bad, but I'm not in love with it either. The biggest problem I had with the whole series, though this book really exemplifies it best, is that the soft magic system feels a bit too soft. I don't mind not knowing the rules when it feels like there are rules, but I'm pretty sure there aren't any here. What various spells can do, for how long, by who, and how they are countered are all kind of important factors in this book, and I'm pretty sure every one of those was made up in the moment, depending on what was needed to make the story interesting. There's an element of this story that implies magic is a living, sentient thing, and that it seems unhappy with the way things are being run. The problem is that I then have to ask why it is theoretically working in such a half-assed fashion. If magic is a living, sentient thing, there's no reason it can't just refuse to do things, so why doesn't it? The bad guy in this is planning to use magic to do very bad things that will only make the current shitty system much worse. So why doesn't her magic fail altogether? This isn't answered. Worse still, there's a small bit in the wrap-up of this book that just makes these questions much more pronounced. Still, if you can overlook the no rules, just vibes feel of the magic system, the book does have a decent plot. Also, unlike Book 2, it felt like the characters were actively making plans for how to deal with the various problems they were facing, so it was much less frustrating. That's it for no spoilers. If you don't like spoilers, now is the time to pause or close the video. For everyone else, let's talk details. The previous book ended with Sarah and friends rescuing a bunch of changeling children and being granted permission by Mrs. Winters to stay at her country home for a limited period of time while they sorted out what to do next. She also told Sarah she was on her own from now on. These were good points to create some conflict going forward. So it was a little frustrating when this book started and seemed to have removed all the constraints. Their stay has been extended indefinitely, and Mrs. Winters has been communicating with and helping Sarah via vague coded messages. Also, in the previous book, the Mother Book, the ancient artifact bound to Sarah that held deep secrets of magic knowledge, was burned. I kind of thought that would just be the end of that, but at the start of this book, Sarah is trying to devise a method to recreate the book. I had some pretty serious questions about the Mother Book from the start. Like, how did it come to exist in the first place? Why is the knowledge inside readable only by the Chosen One? Why only in bits and pieces? The whole premise, while interesting, kind of felt like nonsense to me. But then we recreate the Mother Book. Sarah and friends make a blank book from the end pages of other magic books in the Winter's library, and then sort of will the Mother Book to inhabit it. They fail a few times, and then they succeed. But a lot of the focus in this book is on group magic, so when the group works together to complete the necessary spell, they all end up being able to read it. So then we get to add more questions. How does a book continue to exist after it stops existing? How does it get summoned into a new book when most of the information inside is unknown to literally everyone, and only a small fraction of it is known to one person? Why was there only one reader before, but there are like a dozen of them now? And then things go wrong at the country estate, and Sarah and co. are forced to flee to their next safe house and begin actively planning to face the bad guy. So we start getting a lot of other magic questions. They discover the existence of a magic horn that can remove the bonds holding a revenant in this world, and also take away the core magic of any member of the Grimstoke family, of which the bad guy is a descendant. So they have to find the horn to use against her. Conveniently, they know just the book to tell them what it does, and stumble upon just the right article to tell them where it is kept. These important bits of literature are back at Sarah's old school, so they have to initiate a heist. On the way in, they have to be wary of wards, but they can not only sense these wards, they can remove them without any trouble at all. So it feels a lot like wards are only useful against the careless. Then they have to plan another heist to retrieve the horn. They end up in a magic chamber that's full of mirrors, and they have to figure out which mirror is hiding the horn, under the correct assumption that the rest are traps. So, of course, they trigger several magic traps. But these traps were set by a guy who has been dead for long enough that Sarah decides there can't be any revenants lying in wait, because there wouldn't be anything left of the corpse to reanimate anymore. So how long does magic last exactly? Why haven't any of these other spells decayed? We also get introduced to our second magical creature, which has as much wider context as the evil unicorn from the previous book, which is to say, none. The group succeeds and head back home, only to be ambushed by the bad guy along the way. And again, the magic rules become confusing. There are 6 of them on this little trip, all of whom are fairly powerful sorcerers, but they are completely overpowered by a single opponent who manages to freeze them all in place, steal the horn, and kidnap one of their compatriots without any help at all. She doesn't even come with any revenants. So I started wondering about power scales and limitations. Seems ridiculous that the heroes were so helpless, but it does plot things, so on we move. The book then helpfully informs them that the horn can also be used to take the magic from other people, which seems extremely overpowered for an artifact just created by some dude. But it sure raises the stakes. The bad guy invites everyone to a ball, clearly intent on stripping society's elite of their magic. So our plucky heroes alert their wider social circle that trouble is afoot and prepare for battle. And they win, of course, but the ending was just as confusing. They had initially planned to use the horn to take away the bad guy's magic, which would also kill her since she is technically a revenant herself. But when they get the horn back and play it, they still have to use a reflection spell to prevent it from removing everyone else's magic and land back on the bad guy. Why? Shouldn't it just work as originally intended? And then we get the wrap-up. Remember that question about magic sentience I posed earlier? In the wrap-up, we're informed that servant children are discovering magic at an unprecedented rate, and that old magic families are finding their magic has stopped working. So, once all the truly horrible outcomes have been avoided, magic is apparently ready to take drastic action. But it was cool flirting with disaster before that. I don't know. Maybe I missed something. It just seemed like none of it made much sense from a rules perspective. All the same, it was a good time. I don't think I would necessarily want to read it again, but I'm not sorry I read it once. If you like Victorian England vibes, fun fantasy, and aren't bothered by absolutely nonsense magic, you might check it out for yourself. That's all I have to say about Calling. If you like this video, I hope you'll watch more in the future. Thanks for watching this one. Bye!